Hello, everyone. It's Jamarl Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. There's an odd phenomena in American politics. I've found it to be extremely bizarre when I look at it, when I look back through history at it, and even when I look at it through the lens of now. We look at our political people as if they are just doing a job, and even though they may do really heinous things in an office, that for whatever reason, there's somehow what they do in the world and the decisions that they make, they are somehow disassociated from those decisions. So if George Bush goes into a country and gets 1 million people killed in an illegal war, George Bush can still go home and go finger painting because George Bush was president of the United States and for whatever reason can't or won't be prosecuted. Not just not be prosecuted, potentially even get awards. I mean, Joe Biden is giving George Bush an award for some kind of veterans thing. The guy who started a war that got thousands of Americans killed, millions of Iraqis killed, completely destabilized the Middle East, getting an award. It is a big club, and you and I ain't in it. In one case, however, an infinitesimal amount of justice that in no way can ever compensate for the crimes that this person has committed, Henry Kissinger gets owned. Henry Kissinger gets called out. There's a person who's in a crowd where old man geriatric Henry Kissinger is sitting, content, not necessarily expecting it. And this happens. This woman is doing God's work.
Are you telling me that you're not a war criminal? That you do not deserve to go to jail for the crimes that you have enacted? You deserve to answer to war crimes, to crimes against humanity. You deserve to go to jail and then rot in hell. You have enacted crimes against Chile, against Argentina, against Cambodia, against Vietnam. You are a war criminal and you deserve to rot.
Give your ID.
What is wrong with the individuals that are in the crowd that are booing? What is wrong with you people? What that woman is saying is absolutely right. This man has prosecuted murders and killings and renditions all across the world, taking down governments. Senseless wars in one country after the next, prolonging the war in Vietnam when they knew that there was no solution, military solution to the problem. They just didn't want the government to collapse on Nixon's watch. That woman is doing God's work. The sad part about it is that there are people who are in that audience that are booing what that woman is saying. That is more jarring to me than her calling out the geriatric Kissinger who's sitting there. Just to put a finer point on what that woman is saying, right here, this is The Intercept. I was going to use Chalmers Johnson's book, but The Intercept is more succinct in this. Greg Grandin, a history professor at New York University, let's flip to it. Greg Grandin, a history professor at New York University, just published a timely book called Kissinger's Shadow, The Long Reach of America's Most Controversial Statesman. In an article in The Nation last week, Henry Kissinger, Hillary Clinton's tutor in war and peace, he offered this pithy summary. Let's consider some of Kissinger's achievements during the tenure as Richard Nixon's top foreign policy maker. He, 1, prolonged the Vietnam War for 5 pointless years. 2, mind you, on that point alone, they knew, meaning in the tapes, they knew that that government was going to fall. They knew the government was going to collapse. They just didn't want to do it on Nixon's watch, meaning the deal that LBJ had worked out was effectively the same deal that Nixon ended up taking. All all of those people were dying for all of those senseless, pointless years. Not to mention, he even expanded that war into Cambodia. Nixon made this argument that he had a plan to win the war. He had a secret plan to win the war. I, Richard Nixon, have a secret plan to end the war. Not telling the people that his secret planning was more bombing. Illegal, massive bombing. Let's keep going. The woman is right. Prolonged the Vietnam War for 5 pointless years, ending up with the same deal that LBJ wanted to push. 2, illegally bombed Cambodia and Laos. 3, goaded Nixon to wiretap staffers and journalists. 4, bore responsibility for 3 genocides in Cambodia, East Timor, and Bangladesh. 5, urged Nixon to go after Daniel Ellsberg for releasing the Pentagon Papers, which set off a chain of events that brought down the Nixon White House. 6, pumped up Pakistan's ISI and encouraged it to use political Islam to destabilize Afghanistan. Brzezinski on that one also. Number 7, began the United States arms for petrodollar dependency with Saudi Arabia and pre-revolutionary Iran. 8, accelerated needless civil wars in South Africa that, in the name of supporting white supremacy, left millions dead. 9, supported coups and death squads through Latin America. 10, ingratiated himself with the first generation neocons such as Dick Cheney, Paul Wolfowitz, who would then take American militarism to its next calamitous level. Read all about it in Kissinger's Shallow. That's just what we know. This woman, who the crowd is booing,
don't run the government? Are you telling me that you're not a war criminal? That you do not deserve to go to jail for the crimes that you have enacted? You deserve to answer to war crimes, to crimes against humanity. You deserve to go to jail and then rot in hell. You have enacted crimes against Chile, against Argentina, against Cambodia, against Vietnam. You are a war criminal and you deserve to rot.
Give your ID.
Millions. He is responsible for the death of millions. When I say war criminal, I mean war criminal. Pick out any person in history that you think is a horrible, disgusting human being. And I would guarantee you that Kissinger is up there on that list. And just because he was in some kind of political position doesn't necessarily mean that he wasn't that way. The idea that just because somebody is in some kind of political position, that the decisions that they make they're somehow separate and distinct from those decisions is nonsense. It's nonsense. That idea needs to stop. If you are in a political position and you are making a decision that you know is going to have a certain consequence in the world out there exists. This idea of you making decisions have consequences. Kissinger was responsible for the deaths, the torture, the breaking, the ripping apart of millions of human beings, just like you and me, flesh and blood human beings. And he's sitting there content with a bunch of other sycophants booing, boo, boo. We don't like you saying this about this war criminal. Those people can go fuck themselves. That woman is doing God's work. And that should happen every time Kissinger shows his face, anywhere Kissinger shows his face. That's the least that could happen to him. That's the least that could happen. One more time for the road. Where are you? There you are.
That criminals don't run the government? Are you telling me that you're not a war criminal? That you do not deserve to go to jail for the crimes that you have enacted? You deserve to answer to war crimes, to crimes against humanity. You deserve to go to jail and then rot in hell.
The only critique of this, is that if you're going to do this and you're going to go full bore, like, I'm going to stand up and God damn it, I'm going to let it out. If that's going to be the thing that you do, reserve at least 2 seconds for the audience. Turn around and tell the audience to go fuck themselves. This man is a war criminal, and the idea that you guys are sitting here with this war criminal and booing me as I shame this war criminal Shame on you too. And she should have said, shame, and she should have shook her fist, screaming at the audience with indignation and righteous indignation. Otherwise, gold star to you, miss. Gold star. I'll leave it here. I love this video. The audience is terrifying. Either they don't know that war criminals history or they don't care. I suspect it's more they don't care, which is the most terrifying aspect of American society that I've encountered. People in positions of authority make decisions. Those decisions have calamitous consequences all throughout the globe, destabilizing various regions of the globe, putting people in power who are dictators and brutal, vicious dictators, killers, torturing, taking down governments. But because they were in some position of authority, it makes it somehow okay. It does not make it okay. And she's telling him so. That is the least that could happen. If he gets hit by a bus tomorrow, it will be God's work. Just saying. That's brutal. I'm not going to say it. No. Yeah. I stand by that. Bless you. My wife is sitting here.
Sorry.
That's okay. All right. I'm going to end it here. All right, guys. If you enjoy the content, please feel free to share, like, subscribe. You can always support through Patreon. Needed to give number of dead in Vietnam. She spoke loud and clear. It was over 2 million people that died in Vietnam. Robert McNamara, there's an interesting tidbit about Vietnam. So in Chalmers Johnson's book, this video is going too long. In Chalmers Johnson's book, he talks about the CIA, and he calls them the president's men. Now he calls them the president's men, essentially they're the president's hit squad, but with a caveat. The president needs plausible deniability in the actions that the CIA takes. So you have this weird situation where Robert McNamara and all these other people are essentially saying, we have no idea who is trying to kill Castro, or trying to do this in Vietnam, or trying to take this down like Allende in Chile. We have no idea who did it, plausible deniability. And so somebody ordered it, nobody knows who did it, and you have this level of deniability within the organization itself and the government itself. That's mind-blowing. Meaning, the idea of accountability has been completely destroyed with the creation of the CIA. And even when passing laws to try to say that the CIA can't take action without express consent of the President of the United States, it still didn't work to corral the actions of the CIA. It's fucking phenomenal. Over 2 million people died in that war. Robert McNamara gets into an argument with the gentleman from the Vietnam. I believe it was Ho Chi Minh. And in that argument, he makes the point that millions of your people died. Ho Chi Minh makes the argument, you guys were colonizers taking over for the French. There was a fundamental misunderstanding in the intentions of the United States and the intentions of the Vietnamese. But the catch is that the United States didn't care. Regardless of what you want to say, the United States in that situation was the aggressor in that situation and murdered over 2 million people, all under this idea of fighting communism. All of it was perfectly okay because they were, quote unquote, fighting communism. Fucking amazing. They say you can't look back and judge. Whatever. You can look back and judge. And that's exactly what I'm doing. And that's exactly what that woman is doing. There should be consequences for bad behavior like this. This guy's a goddamn war criminal. And I say the same thing for Bush. I said the same thing for Obama. I said the same thing at this point for Trump. If they're out there, do you realize there are situations, 90% of the people that were being killed in those drone strikes were civilians. In many respects, we have no idea who we're killing. And I would put to you that to some degree, we don't care. We don't fucking care. The audience is horrifying. That woman is doing God's work. I end it here. All right, guys. If you enjoy the content, please feel free to share, like, subscribe, of course, and you can always support the content through Patreon. Like my wife says, even $1 helps. She's the one who came up with that. I think her point is, look, you're trying to create a large base. And I think she's right. Thank you all. Thanks. Oh, by the way, Patron Appreciation Show is going to be Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to normalize that, and I'm going to normalize the show because it makes it hard for people to know where I am and what time I come on as I glow pop. I'll figure it out. Think so. Yeah, I'll give notice in advance. Thanks all.